What's up everybody, how's it going, and welcome to this episode of Rant. Today, we're back on the Metruckus because we finally got our adapters. If you're not sure what we're talking about when we say the adapter, this is our tree adapter. Basically, this will go on the top of the ruckus tree that we have in our Metruckus and extend the height of the handlebar mounting point to above the fairings that go on the Metropolitan front end. So we will now be able to actually bundle up all of our electronics and put them where they belong. So as you can see, without the fairings, this is all just kind of open. Just the whole ignition system's exposed. All connections for the lights are just out in space. We even zip tied our light there, that way we could actually run this thing. It's just not pretty, it's not clean. But with this will extend the height up high enough so that that big boy right there can go right behind here. And more importantly, it'll be able to button up all this loose wiring everywhere and get stuff tucked where it's supposed to go. Next step, getting our handlebars all mounted with this piece. And there we go. Much higher seating position. I'm actually really liking this right now. Let's see how this sits, because I've actually not tried this out. Oh, this is way better. Oh, this is like comfortable. Like, what? This is huge improvement. Okay, even if you don't have a Metruck, I'd say still do this because this is really, really nice. This sits very comfortably for my seating position. This is great. Yeah, that's real nice. All right, after, I don't know, 30 minutes of finagling with this and kind of rerouting things, unplugging stuff to replace it back in there, and sweating to death because it's like 100 degrees outside. It's time just to see it. I want to see it. This is what we've been waiting for. Yes. Oh, that brought it all together. That is magnifique. Obviously it's not totally bolted in, so I'm going to not really move it that much, but yeah. So it's actually been a couple days in between takes here because we've been kind of demo testing a couple of things, checking to see if things will work. Some little tuning things, not actual tuning things, just stuff to correct along the way. And now we're actually going to install the Coso speedometer tachometer system that was actually meant for the Metropolitan on the Metruckus. Turns out the head unit that I wanted to get for the Metruckus actually was, well, it was meant for a Grom. It wasn't meant for a Metro. It wasn't meant for a Ruckus. It's meant for something that's got gears, and well, it's a 1-gear CVT. No gears here. With that said, we're actually going to go ahead and pop this back off. We're going to actually change the light bulb while we're here. That way, this bulb, it's a little old. It's also not as bright. I'm going to replace it with our new bulbs that we got from Dorby Works. We're going to set up the wiring for our Coso unit and figure out where exactly in the harness our clip connections are supposed to mate together. That way, this guy can tell us how fast he's going and also how fast the motor is spinning. One thing I do have to address is that, well, you notice that the wheel is a little off kilter. We've actually got a correction kit on its way from the ruck shop. We're just trying to knock out as much as we can while we're here. We also set up the brake, but we're leaking out the back. Now we got some plumber's tape. You probably saw that in our episode of the Forester. We'll actually go ahead and correct that. That way this guy doesn't have this awkward lean out thing where it actually bites sometimes but not all the time. So we'll be good to go there. But now without further ado, reach into my box of parts and pull out our Coso unit and get this thing started. Coso's bolt on. It goes right there. I wanted it on my handlebars because that's obviously makes more sense for me to look because it's not a Ruckus. So having that there is going to be handy. After a little more consultation and a very hot and chilling Ian. We now have everything working. To prove the point, boom. Hey, it's even got the right voltage, 12.6 volts. That's without it charging. And then I may have to change the fuel meter. I think I might have the wrong wire code for the fuel meter, but that's an easy correction. But yeah, man, we're in business. Now, just gotta drive it and get that odometer right. By the way, I just had to put that on there. Alright, so we got the Metruckus outside. There were a couple of things I did off camera. Number one was finally add something to cover our carburetor with. It's an actual ITB filter setup, so now we won't be worried about sucking in a ton of dirt and debris and rocks and all that stuff. We've also got ourselves a little side peg kickstand. So now I can actually park the bike outside. It does lean pretty far, so we will be addressing that. We will be putting either a longer leg on it or just getting one of those little pieces that props it up just a tad higher, because we would rather see it lean somewhere around right there. But for now, it's working, it's doing the job, it bolts in right. We're good to go. We don't want to worry about that no more. All right, so it's been a few days, but we're back out here again. We now have our exhaust from Two Brothers Racing, and we're gonna go ahead and get started with that. We had an issue where our exhaust unfortunately tore itself out. I didn't have the proper hangers for the thing to begin with, so it's kind of expected this was gonna happen. But now that I have the rest of the pieces I'll need, I can actually go ahead and get started with correcting the stud problems that we got, and also putting on a better sounding exhaust one that's a little bit smaller, not as tall, and I think will sound a whole lot better, honestly. Oh yeah, that right there, that is quality. That's real nice. And look at the inside of that, it's so baffled. I can see you in there. God, this is gonna sound really good. And it's cyclone styled, so instead of it just being a straight through with dappling, it's actually got some like attunements on the inside of this, so this will actually sound really, really nice once it's all set up. I'm really happy with this, that's for sure. I do have to go under here and actually remove the other stud, because unfortunately I did get one stud out, as you can see here, using the double nut method, and it worked pretty well. But that stud completely broke off, and in the middle of this stud there's like a little gap, and I unfortunately am not able to get anything threaded on there right now. I'll update you once I have a solution on how I'm going to get that off. However, I am going to set up stuff like this exhaust hanger. Now if you use the instructions that they give you from the ruck shop, right, this is a Two Brothers Racing thing, so if you use their instructions, it sounds pretty straightforward. But one thing that is a little confusing is where it says to install the actual bracket to the motor. So step one, honestly, they say it's behind the fan. Now if you interpret that wrong and think it's behind this casing, that is not exactly the case. It actually sits like this. Well, okay, I had it backwards, here we go. It actually sits somewhat more like that, so that it reaches up to where that would be instead of coming off of the frame like we're used to. So I figured I'd just put that out there, that way if anyone's confused, that is exactly how that's supposed to go. So as you can see, there are two bolt locations on the back of the motor, specifically for that task. After much pain and sorrow, we got it out, boys. Finally, the stud is out. The camera won't focus. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, that was a clean break, straight through, no thread left. Needed the stud extractors to get this guy out. And huge shout out to our friend Gabby for supplying us with one. That was the exact size we needed, because we would have been stuck if we didn't have it. Now we've got nice new fresh studs that are full size from our friends at the ruck shop. We're going to go ahead and throw this in there, tighten them down to spec, and start putting our exhaust together. It's all done. Look at how nice that is. I just got to tighten down the bracket up here, and this exhaust is good to go. Now one thing I do got to say about this setup, because I don't think it's actually been talked about, is the fact that it comes with its own O2 bung, so that you can, if you really wanted to, and if you were to say maybe turbo one of these, you would have the O2 reading so you could actually tune it correctly for your fuel injection and whatnot. Or if you really just want to know what your AFRs are for actual carb tuning, you could do that as well. Either way, this is a beautiful setup. It's shorter, it's cleaner, it's nicer in my opinion. And now it's time to start it up for the first time, see what she sounds like. Hopefully that one clip of the bike turning on is good enough for you guys, because unfortunately it's gonna have to be, because now I gotta buy another Oko carb. I broke the carburetor. I was trying to tune, and apparently I turned one of the needles too far, or one of the screws too far, and it just snapped. And of course, because the motor's hot, from me lightly riding it around, I just can't win. I just can't win. As it sits, I got no chance. I got no choice. I am stuck with where the bike is at. But at the very least, it's now got a properly set up exhaust. It's now got a kickstand. It's got a working headlight. The fairings are all on correctly. The coastal head unit is on it. Everything I need for the Metruckus is here. I just now got to dial it all in so that when it's time to ride it and take it for its first big road trip, we'll be good to go. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed me spending a lot of time with this moped, because now it's gonna go on hold and we're gonna move on to Forester things here for just a little while. And I hope you guys really enjoy it, because I am praying and hoping that the Forester works by the time we're done modding the crap out of this thing. But with that said, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit that like button even if you enjoyed this a little bit, because any like button right now helps us out, because that's the way the YouTube algorithm works, baby. But with all that said, thanks again for coming to visit. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like and sub if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace! What's the matter, Merlin? Is it raining outside? Did it ruin our fun time? Yeah, it's okay. We'll get to go ride another day. Not today, because it's all wet now and hot, and our AC doesn't work in the Forester. Yeah. Oh, you smell all the motor oil? Yeah? I don't think you want to lick that. It's not going to taste very good.